We are back here at Lava Fitness on Carolina Women, of course. Erin and I are excited to be with Cathy Ulmer. What is that about? It's the summer.
Yes.
All kinds of interesting things go on in the summer.
Yes.
What specifically are some things that you, Cathy Ulmer, deal with in the pharmacy when it comes to summertime?
There's a lot. I mean, you know, the heat, getting overheated, sunburns, you know, we were talking about like getting stung by jellyfish. Then you have the whole like, hey, it's so hot here. What do I do with my medication? So it kind of varies.
It's interesting because during the winter, because I forget my medication, sometimes I'll keep it in my car, in my purse in my car. And I was curious, how does temperature affect different kinds of meds?
The temperature here, I don't even know if it's just the temperature, but the humidity. So even if you have a tablet that can be stored at any temperature, once that humidity hits it, I've seen people bring in vials of like 30 tablets and they're melted. Like they're almost disintegrated. They get that moisture in them.
Yes.
And then they just become this like hard powder. So you have to be cautious of that, especially in your car. Because it's not like it's hot in your car, but it gets to be temperatures that can really, you know, melt things like
lozenges
or suppositories, things like that. I mean, not normally something you carry in your car, but you could just be picking it up at the pharmacy. Troches, thank you. Just things that you're picking up at the pharmacy you might throw in your car, and you know, you don't want them to melt. You don't want them to get above temperatures that they're still stable. They'll start to degrade.
I don't
like
think
that.
people think about that.
Well, some require refrigeration. I know my mother has one specific drug that has to be refrigerated.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a lot of medications that do have to be refrigerated. Like when people pick stuff up from us, we make sure they have a cold pack if they're not going straight home. Like we'll put it in their like prescription bag and just, you know, just to help keep it cold. But even that in this type of temperatures in your car is not enough if it is a refrigerated medication.
Can we just talk about something as simple as sunburn? What do you recommend?
As she points to me.
Well, no, I'm just jealous. I have tanorexia. I mean, look at how good she looks.
Little crispy.
Yes, well, you know, I mean, everybody gets sunburn at some point. Spring sunscreen is the first line of defense. Being cautious about medications that could increase your risk of sunburn. And after a sunburn, you just want to moisturize. Like I just recommend straight aloe. Like if you have an aloe plant.
From the aloe plant?
Sure. If you have an aloe plant, just that's great. If not, you can get aloe in a container. Some of them have a little bit of like lidocaine in them. It's benzocaine, but it can numb it a little bit.
We put ours in the fridge.
Yes, I think
that is so
very
smart.
It is a great idea.
Can I ask you a basic question? When you talk about people, and I think as we age, and maybe young too, I don't know, but dry skin, as skin gets drier, is there a moisturizing cream or a moisturizer that you really recommend as a pharmacist?
CeraVe and Aquaphor are kind of like our go-tos for moisturizers. Like a lot of my dermatologists like to use CeraVe as a base, even to put like medications in. So, you know, just moisturizing in general. Yeah. So like if I compound something, they'll say, do this in CeraVe. So that seems to be a really like a common recommendation from dermatologists, so we kind of stick with that most of the time.
And do you recommend moisturizing a couple of times a day? You know, kids are really into skincare now too.
I know, goodness.
There's like a regimen.
There is, and I'm not good at that. In pharmacy, like we learned a lot, but that whole regimen stuff, I'm not super familiar with. But
I think that was a marketing plan with the beauty.
Yes, it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder because the other day, one of my oldest grandkids was getting a prescription for an eye thing to make her lashes grow.
Well, yeah, you can get those. Yeah.
Oh,
there's
wow.
There's a medication you can.
It's a medication. It's like for glaucoma or whatever.
Yeah, and
it's really interesting.
It is really interesting.
Are these just side effects that have proven to do other things?
Yes, pretty much. Like, oh, look, I used this medication, my eyelashes got beautiful, and so, we can market that and rebrand it and make a lot of money. So that's kind of how that came about. But it is like, you know, with the regimens and especially if you do medications like Retin-A or things for your skin, you have to be cautious of how you apply your medications, like applying it, letting it dry for 30 minutes, then putting on your moisturizer, so things like that. I counsel.
And I
a
know
lot
we're
on.
talking about pharmacy and we talk about medicines and protocols and things like that, but this is everyday stuff that people do that my assumption is many of us do wrong.
I'm sure we do a lot of things wrong when it comes to how we apply things. We're applying too much or not removing our makeup before we apply our medications. So things like that just common questions, especially with the compounding, because when we're compounding dermatology products, I get that question like, when should I apply it in my regimen? And I'm like, okay, well, tell me what your regimen is. And then
it's nice to have a person to interact with.
Oh my gosh.
And get that information.
Yeah.
Exactly, and I know we're out of time, but we got a picture for this. That is the one thing that sets you apart. Cathy Ulmer Pharmacy. I mean, talk about relationship building.
We're
Pretty
there.
amazing.
We're there to talk.
Stay with us. A lot more still to come here on Carolina Women.